out of all the great songs you could have picked on this poll, you guys had to pick Godsmack. I mean, look at how close this was, too. Like, oh man, I was totally prepping to buy an orange suit and a bright-ass baseball cap and dance around for all of y'all, but you guys had to pick Godsmack. Godsmack. But you know, I get it. I've thrown some legitimate shade at Godsmack before on this channel.
Of course, Godsmack sucks.
Like real-ass shade, so I guess this is really my own fault. You guys probably want to know what my beef with them is. Well, for this episode, I actually went back and kinda reacclimatized myself to their catalog, and I listened to a fair amount of their music, and you know what? Oh, this is gonna sound really weird coming out of me, but I may have been just like a teensy bit harsh on these guys. Yes, really. I mean, don't misinterpret me here. Godsmack is not a great band, like, at all. Their riffs tend to be samey and uncreative. Their lyrics are simplistic at best and varnish-guzzlingly stupid at worst. And Sully just has one of those voices that's like... Trio here, I can do. He sounds like Popeye with really bad constipation to me. Like, he's definitely an acquired taste. He tries to sing, like, mostly in his low register, but he doesn't really have much of a low register voice, so he just kind of sounds like a Thunder Chud trying to do a bad Nick Cave impression. I mean, there's just a lot to dislike about this band. People, I'm sorry. Personally, I just can't stand them. But, given what they're out there doing, you could definitely do worse than Godsmack. I mean, they aren't out there necessarily trying to reinvent the wheel or anything. They're making growly butt rock for the demographic that likes growly butt rock. And to their credit, at least from what I've heard from other people, they sound good live, they treat their audiences well, and they're out there delivering 100% of what they got to the people that love them at every show they do. I mean, I can't fault them for that, especially in this specific genre where you can do way worse. I'd sooner listen to Godsmack than, say, Five Finger Death Punch or Stained or any other number of these white boy with pain kind of genres. You know, to their credit, they're not all bad. But there is one song from them that, oh, even to this day, just gets right on my tits. Just directly on my tits. And yes, people, it's the exact one you'd figure it would be. Okay, A, there is only one Bad Religion, motherfuckers. We got the American Jesus, all there will be. So ineffectual, and Los Angeles is burning. This is just a punk rock song, and we'll pretend it's Christmas Day in my atomic. And you guys aren't it. B, for that matter, there's only one Godsmack. And y'all ain't that either. But, like, it's more than just the tenuous coincidence. Believe me, it's so much more. Even for a band like Godsmack that has so many bad songs in their catalog, like a lot of bad songs. People, I don't think you realize how much bad music this band has made. Voodoo 2 is a thing. For a band with this many bad songs, I'd argue this might be their worst. The fourth and final single off of their eponymous 1998 record, this song went all the way to number 8 on the mainstream rock charts and number 32 on the modern rock charts. Why? Also, another fun tidbit about this song, did you know that it was originally pulled from all radio airplay in the US by Clear Channel after the 9/11 attacks on the Twin Towers? Again, why? I joke, but have you ever actually, sat down and read the complete Clear Channel 2001 memorandum list of songs that they wanted to pull from the radio after 9/11 happened? It's on Wikipedia. I recommend digging this up because, to put it one way, it is kind of the funniest goddamn thing you could read. At least regarding such a terrible tragedy as 9/11, I'm not trying to minimize it. I get it. We were scared. We were in mourning. Those were terrifying times, but it's 19 years later. I think we have enough distance to look at this list and just go, come on. Really? Dude, come on, for real. Bare Naked Ladies? What are the Bare Naked Ladies doing on this list? Oh, you. But yeah, while this wasn't like a mega hit or anything, it was still a very successful song for the time, and I think this helped cement their legacy early on. But this thing was just all over rock radio where I was growing up. At least until, But again, I listen to this song and I just think, why? People, I'm just gonna go knives out on this one. This is barely even a song. This legit sounds like an unfinished demo. At best, this is a half-assed filler track that you slap on a record to fill time. I mean, even though I'm not a big supporter of it, I at least get the idea of making a stupid, simple filler track if you just have to pad out the running time of your album and don't have any ideas left, but releasing a song like that, releasing a song this half-assed as a single, it'd be like if a video game publisher released a non-play-tested alpha first draft build of their game as the final release. Not that that hasn't totally happened before, am I right? And granted, if you wanted to, you could argue that a lot of nu metal and post-grunge kinda sounds like that, especially these days. But with this particular song, this was egregious even for the time. This is just one of the most woefully underwritten rock songs I've ever heard. I mean, God, I really hate to recycle jokes here. I've been trying not to recycle jokes for this vid, but it's just one note! It's just one note! It's literally just one note! Why are you people serious? It's not even a complicated note at that. Look at this chord. Look at this tablature. Look at it. For those of you who read tabs, I don't even need to make a joke here, do I? But for those of you who don't, though, I'll elaborate a little. The entirety of the verses, 75% of this song, mind, are just one completely open chord. See those zeros? In tablature, numbers indicate which fret on the fretboard of a guitar or bass, or any stringed instrument, needs to be pressed on the neck when you're building a specific chord. When that number is 0, though, it means you aren't touching any fret on the fretboard and you're just strumming it openly. So in order to play this song, literally, all you have to do is this. You can literally play the bulk of this song one-handed. On both guitar and bass. Do you ever feel self-conscious about your abilities as a musician? Don't. Godsmack got this to chart. But before you jump down my throat and accuse me of being like an ultra-elitist, dream theater worshipping, prog rock, ultra snob or whatever. Excuse me, bro, doth thou even pentatonic? No. Look, I'm not trying to knock simplicity. Hell, a simple hook can be the absolute best asset a song can have. If you use it right, a song, especially a rock song, does not need to be complicated in order for it to be brilliant. Hell, some of the best and most influential rock in history is also some of the most basic ass shit you can find. A good hook can deceive you like that. If it truly, genuinely sounds good, your brain will be willing to overlook the logistical side of things. You know, that grumpy little part of your brain that hears a simple song and is like, oh, that's nothing special. A toddler could do that. Why is this a bag? My kid could do that. You know, people, if the hook is good enough, your brain won't care. It'll reduce the level of cortisol, boost the level of dopamine, and you'll just be in for a good time. That's kind of the beautiful thing about music. It doesn't have to be a technical masterpiece in order to still have a genuine emotional effect on people. It can certainly help to at least have a certain amount of technical skill behind it. Don't misinterpret me in the other direction here either, but well, listen, people, all you really have to have at the end of the day is a good beat, a good melody. Dude, you're good to go. I mean, look at all this punk rock I have on my wall back here. People, if I couldn't appreciate a simple song, you know, like 70% of this damn wall would be blank. But that's the thing. Simplicity is fine, but even if you're doing something simple, you still have to, you know, be doing something. A lot of punk songs are simple, but they are still doing something with the simplicity. The appeal isn't in the technicality of the music, rather it's usually more in the force of the playing, the aggression of the tempo, the snarl of the lyrics and vocals. I mean, you can probably play the entirety of the Ramones' self-titled debut on your first day with a guitar. It's not a technical masterpiece, but one spin of that record. It'll affect you nonetheless. Or hell, let's take another deceptively simple song, for example. The Velvet Underground's Heroin. Another all-time classic. Now, you've likely heard about the old 4-chord song trick that's utilized in a lot of pop music, or maybe you're even familiar with the 3-chord song trick. Well, Heroin is technically, at least, only using 2. And it is not a complicated couplet either. This song just lazily slides back and forth between D-flat and G-flat, and really, if you're looking at the raw sheet music, there's just not a lot going on here, but while the music itself isn't overly complicated, it's how those 2 chords are played and presented that makes them stand out. It's how the tempo keeps shifting and swaying and becoming more and more tense and pounding and uncomfortable and frantic with each passing measure. It's Lou Reed's soul-crushing lyrics about addiction and personal devastation. It's the strained and suffocated way in which he sings. Heroin is a song that puts you in the mind of an addict. It literally gives you the junkie's experience without ever having to put that spike in your veins. And the song does it all, and does it all so brilliantly, with just 2 chords. Hell, you don't even need 2 chords if you really know what you're doing. Believe it or not, no, I'm not gonna slam the band for just using 1 chord. Not on that raw basic principle, at least. Because the true masters of the simple song, they only need 1 chord. Y'all like Creedence? Specifically, do you like Run Through the Jungle? Well, guess what? Yep, 1 chord. I'm serious. And now, granted, it does a lot of flashy stuff with that chord, but when you break it all down to its raw components, it's really just D major. Creedence made it work, though. Any Queen of Soul fans out there? Well, Aretha Franklin's biggest hit, Chain of Fools, while it's flourished and elevated by a lot of other stuff surrounding it, as a lot of great soul music is, the core foundation of the song, though, C minor 7th. Really, that's it. Like, the basic foundations of this song are deceptively simple. You wouldn't think it listening to this song, but goddamn, Aretha was just a queen, man. You really want to go deep, though? You really want a great example of how a little can do a lot? Alright. How's this for simplicity? Metroid. Y'all, I'm a gamer dork. I'm always going to be on my video game bullshit. But hear me out here. Hip Tanaka, the game's composer, had a bit of an incomprehensible task ahead of him when he was writing the score to Metroid. He had to write something heavy, atmospheric, dense, and ominous for a game about being lost and alone in a hostile alien world. He needed to create a crushing, lonely, and morose soundtrack to help elevate the game's themes of isolation, loneliness, and the fear of being in the unknown. On the NES. You have to remember, in 1987, horror in video games didn't exactly go together. There were some titles out there that experimented with the concept, but the technology was just too primitive to do too much. And games, at least at the time, were mostly still thought of as, bleepy bloopy fart boxes. They were dumb toys for dumb kids. I mean, you think people give video games shit for not being art these days? Believe me, in the 80s and 90s, it was way worse. But composing something for the NES, with its severely limited capabilities for sound and music, was a hard task, even if you were just trying to make bleepy bloopy fart music, Let alone if you were trying to create something more substantial, something to create a genuine mood. That was hard on the NES. But to the genius of Tanaka-san, he was able to achieve that spooky, daunting, atmospheric tone he was searching for. And he did it all with this. People, if I may put it a certain way, it's not the size of your sheet music that matters. It's what you do with it. You do not have to write a complex melody to achieve a sincere emotional effect. You just have to use what you have in a meaningful way. That's really all it takes. Simplicity is fine. Simplicity can be fantastic if you use it as a tool to reach some sort of higher musical goal or purpose. All you really need is one chord if you know what you're doing out there. Does Godsmack know what they're doing out there? Hell no. See, even though you can do a lot with just one chord, you still have to do something with it. Some kind of innovation or idea. The Metroid theme works in that it's dire and dank, but also urgent and pulsating. It's almost like a frightened heartbeat or the ominous thud of footsteps. That simple but forceful punch is genuinely frightening. Chain of Fools is one chord, but it's dressed up with powerful performances from Aretha and tons of accentuation and color from her supporting instrumentation. That chord is like a meaty steak with a ton of fancy garnishes and sauce surrounding it. It's boosted and elevated with all of those extra elements. Run Through the Jungle, even, with its lackadaisical construction, uses its tempo and rhythm to evoke the urgency and pace of a fleeing person. It uses its timing to literally feel like a run through the jungle. All of these songs use their simplicity to evoke some kind of emotional resonance. What emotion does Bad Religion evoke? Anger, maybe? Like anger at your inability to play an instrument? frustration at sucking so hard, and urgent and searing and genuine passion and thankfulness for drop tuning. God is dead. There's just nothing to feel here. The chords pulsate at a weirdly uneven and choppy staccato. There is somewhat of a rhythm and even a punchiness to it, I'll admit, but it's not really directed or purposeful. I'd say this strumming pattern almost sounds like Morse code, but I don't know, every attempt I took to break this down into Morse code, yeah, this doesn't mean shit. You see what I mean? The music itself doesn't tell you anything or suggest anything. How the hell can it? It's just one goddamn chord played without flourish, without build, without even a competent rhythm. I guess there's like kind of an unga bunga caveman raw ass lizard brain kind of thing going for it. You could almost call this song animalistic, partially for that and partially because you could literally teach an animal to do this. It's just loud and choppy with no direction or purpose. I mean, even the Ramones, with their full frontal assault of simplicity, still had purpose to it. That purpose being to blow out your speakers and scare the shit out of you. This song, though, it just sounds like any other nu metal butt rock anthem, only somehow even more insipid. Like, the music doesn't say anything on its own. It doesn't evoke a mood or a tone. It's just... And that basically gives your imagination nothing to work with. It's a completely colorless song. The music adds nothing to the atmosphere or emotional depth. So that means the lyrics pretty much have to carry this song completely on their own. And oh god, I am so not looking forward to talking about this. Okay, so confession time. I didn't actually know what this song was about when I originally included it on the poll. I can't believe it, but for all the years I've known about this song, I've never genuinely put much thought into it. Honestly, I thought it was probably like a lot of Godsmack's other material, you know? Just angry boy, jock jam, dude bro fight anthems about being generically angry at generic forces for generic reasons. I mean, on your first couple of listens... yeah, it really doesn't sound like much. In all honesty, it sounds almost exactly like most of the other songs off their debut. Like, Keep Away, Whatever. It's all just that angry white boy shit. I mean, Godsmack's self-titled is basically just like if break stuff could be stretched out to a full hour. I honestly just thought this was just another vaguely pissed off meathead anthem for 90s kids to chug Volt Cola to, you know? Who cares, right? No big deal. What's the big hype? Turns out this song is about abortion? No, really? Huh? Like, yeah, apparently Sully has gone on record to say that this is an anti-abortion track. I really don't see it. The only verse in the song that you can make a clear connection to the anti-abortion message is the second one here. Can you hear me? I'm alive inside you. I mean, okay, I guess that line kind of speaks for itself. You know, I'm alive inside of you. Like a fetus, I guess. Okay. And, you know, this part, you know, how some people might choose to have an abortion because they don't think they'd be good parents, but, you know, you can never really know that for sure, so I guess that makes sense too. And, you know, if you do end up going through with it, there is the possibility that you'll be chased around with guilt for doing it, you know. I mean, I guess this part of the song does at least kind of make sense. You know, if you're into all that focus on the family bullshit. And can I be just real here for a sec? This is a really weird line to hear coming out of Sully Erna. You know, Sully, a practicing Wiccan? Though granted, pro-life Wiccans apparently are a thing, at least in small numbers. And from what I've read, there's like nothing inherently in Wiccan doctrine or teachings that says you can't be anti-abortion or anything like that. But people like... maybe I'm just ignorant on the topic, but if I were a practicing witch, I would really not want to take up sides with, you know, the people that want to burn me at the stake. I don't know about any of that. I'm not Wiccan. I'm not a witch. I can't claim to speak on any of this with any authority, so I'm not going to pretend to. But here's the thing. I can't speak on this issue, but neither can Sully. Like, if this song is anti-abortion, what the hell does this verse mean? Looking down on as I beat you, dogs on the street? Is this still coming out of the perspective of the fetus? If your fetus is literally pummeling the crap out of you in broad daylight, yeah, I'd say that's a pretty damn good reason for you to get an abortion. Fuck you, fetus, you suck! I can't take the pressure. I'm going insane. Now go away. You're going insane? You can't go insane. You're a fetus. Is this supposed to be some kind of both sides kind of song? Is this supposed to be like, oh, here are the facts, make up your own mind kind of take? Is this like an art piece? People, let me take a really hard stance here. This song isn't about abortion. I don't care what Sully said. I don't care what the rest of the band says. This song is not about abortion. It isn't about anything. It's too goddamn stupid to be about anything. I mean, that might have been the original intention behind this track, but just because Sully tried doesn't mean he succeeded. The song's lyrics have no real focus, no real concrete point to be made. He's yelling and passionate, but he's not really saying anything. Which, again, before you misinterpret me again here, not having anything intelligent to say, that can actually be just fine. There's nothing at all wrong with writing a dumb song. Songs don't necessarily have to have any big, important meaning behind them. I mean, hell,
Insert band you don't like here.
Has a career. I mean, that's proof positive that, you know, songs don't have to have a deeper meaning to be successful as songs. Dumb songs can still strike that primal, raw core of our humanity. Hell, dumb songs often get so wildly popular because of their ability to stimulate those basic human emotions and feelings. These simple songs can provoke the most fervent reactions in people, both positive and negative, so it gets people paying attention, you know? There is nothing wrong with a dumb, idiot, unga-bunga-ass basic track. The problem is, this song isn't trying to be a dumb, unga-bunga basic track. It's trying to speak to you. Even though the music highly suggests otherwise, this song is genuinely trying to have a message. It's trying to convince you of something. It actually wants to have a deeper conversation with you about a very sensitive topic, but it has no fucking idea what it's talking about. And I don't even necessarily mean from like an ideological standpoint. I feel about abortion however you want to feel, whatever. I mean, it's like, I'm going insane, now go away. How to do word good, stupid. If they had just realized, okay, we don't have much to work with on this track, so let's just write a bunch of angry shit and call it a day. what Godsmack, oh wow, my Boston accent is terrible, I'm sorry. If they had just realized what they had on their hands here, I wouldn't be nearly as down on this track as I am. I mean, fuck, at least that would show an inkling of self-awareness. That would at least be worth respecting, even at its most stupid. But by trying to affix a greater meaning onto this idiot little song with its idiot little riffs, its idiot little beat, and its idiot little lyrics, people, I'm sorry, but that right there is the textbook definition of pretentious. I mean that literally, too. Webster's dictionary defines pretentious as to express unwarranted or exaggerated importance, worth, or stature. And that's exactly what this song is doing. Sully is trying to assign importance to this song that isn't actually there. He says this song is about abortion, but outside of a few fleeting references, it isn't about anything. The biggest failure you can make as a songwriter is when you have something to say, but completely fail to say it. If Sully didn't have a message here and just wanted to write a bunch of stupid, angry shit, that would have been more or less fine. But he states explicitly that this song is supposed to have a message. A message about abortion, no less. A topic so controversial and hotly debated to this day that the mere mention of it... let me put it this way. I'll be amazed if this video stays advertiser friendly. If you want to talk about this kind of topic effectively, you have to approach it with the skill of a surgeon with a scalpel. You have to be delicate. And these guys... I can't take the pressure. I'm going insane. Now go away. Approached it like a chimpanzee with a handful of shit. Look, at the end of the day, the song is pretentious, it's stupid, it's lazy, it's half-finished, it's meaningless fluff and filler on an album that already had a great deal of fluff and filler from a band that's never been really all that good to begin with. I guess it could be worse, though, at least for all this song's stupid and insipid and pretentious lyrics. At least Sully wasn't rapping them. People, I'm Crash Thompson. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next video.
Super special thanks to my medicine, ARETHA.